Hi, welcome back to my channel! If you've seen my last video, I've spoken about the books that I will probably never read. But what about the books that I haven't read yet, but would like to get to at some point in my life? Most of those books are going to be very popular YA titles that, for one or another reason, I didn't manage to read when I was a teen, or in the last few years. So I will try and remedy that. So let me tell you about the 10 books, a series, that I haven't gotten to yet, but I would really like to. Let's start with one of the books that was absolute favorite for a while for everyone. It's the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. Yes, I know, don't burn me on a stake, I have not read these. I watched the movies because when I was a teen, I don't think I had an access to the books, or didn't really feel like reading them because the movies were coming out. And I was like, I'll watch the films, that was fine. And they were fine, I really enjoyed them. Katniss was a really interesting character. She grew over the series, but in the last few scenes she really didn't do much and I was quite disappointed, so I never felt like I needed to read it again. But as the prequel book just recently came out, all about the President Snow, I was like, never a better time. I'll read the main series and then I'll catch up on the prequels as well. So wish me luck. So to keep exposing myself, I still haven't read the Diversion series by Veronica Roth. Same thing with the Hunger Games. The films got released, so I almost felt like I didn't have time, I didn't feel like reading the books to then watch the movie, so I just watched the movie. And compared to the Hunger Games, that series didn't really go down well. I think the premise of it just sounds really, really interesting, but I feel like the execution really got lost, especially, I guess, translating to the screen. But I remember talking to one of my friends at the time when the films were about to be released, that she has read the series and it absolutely changed her life and she felt so inspired by them, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, I should probably add it to my list. And I never did. So yeah, I would really like to get to that series at some point. As you know, I recently read the Fifth Wave series, so as soon as I can get my hands on the audiobook versions of these, I'll definitely be reading them. Another incredibly popular YA title that I've never picked up, and it's all about dragons that I love very much, the Eragon series by Christopher Paolini. So he's coming up with a new science fiction book for adults later on in the month, but I've never read his other work. But I'm really interested in picking up the science fiction book instead. I really love dragons. I feel like it's like with almost all the books on this list, a lot of these were adapted before I had a chance to even know that there was a book or actually pick up the book. So I watched the first Eragon film and it was alright. It wasn't something very special, but I know that the books always have so much more in them, so much more world building and storytelling, so I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm willing to maybe take time and actually invest myself into the 4-book series of the world of Eragon and give it a chance, so hopefully that'll work out. As many of you, I also followed Jesse the Reader for a long time, and one of his favourite series is Peregrines House for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and ever since I have always wanted to pick it up, but for one reason or the other was always putting it off. I think when I found the series through him, it already had 3 books, or two or three books already out, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll pick it up one day, it'll be great. And the more I kind of looked into it, the more I kind of discovered it, I felt less and less compelled to pick it up. And obviously, again, the movie adaptation came out, I watched it, it was alright, no hard feelings, nothing special, didn't become my favourite. But I'm still very curious because of the element of photographs in the book, so I really like to give it a go. And I think it's one of those series that could potentially become one of my favorites, but as I've never given it a chance, I wouldn't know. So the next 2 authors that I'm going to mention have co-written, they've written across genres, done their own things, and it's getting ridiculous at this point. So I'm reading a book by Amy Kaufman and Megan Smuder at the moment. So obviously, Amy Kaufman has co-written the Illuminae series with Jay Kristoff, and then I'll speak about him in a second. The Illuminae series, it should be everything that I want. It's different kind of mediums in it, and it's a sci-fi story set on a ship that's trying to escape this blast and then being followed. And there's a love story, I think, going through it, and the 3 books focus on different team members flying away from this explosion. I never really felt like picking up Illuminae. I don't know why. I just felt like, let everyone else enjoy it. I'm fine. I'm fine in my own boat. I'm not necessarily wanting to read it. And then Books and Lala picked it up, and she absolutely fell in love, and I was like, okay, maybe I should change my mind. And it's absolutely fine. I think it's very important to be open to reading and occasionally just change your mind and read something that you weren't expecting to read before. I have Illuminate somewhere upstairs above me, and I would really, really like to give it a try. I'm not sure about Gemini and Obsidio, considering they're different, they're following different characters, so I've heard very mixed things, but I feel like at this point I should just disregard what other people are saying and just pick it up and find out on my own, because that's how I've always been. I really just do my own thing, and I try to read what I feel like at any given point in time, and people's thoughts and opinions shouldn't really matter and shouldn't really impact you. They should more inspire you rather than put you off something. I hope that made sense. So yes, I would really like to give Illuminate a go. Probably physically, I don't know if... I think the audiobook would be really cool to read alongside the physical, because I've heard that it's full cast and really like exciting and these like old noises and things. So that would be really interesting. I'll see if I can get a hold of it, but otherwise that's on the list. And following on from there, J. Kristoff. I've mentioned it before. I own the Nevernight series. Have I read it? Not yet. Would I like to? Oh yes. I think I've always been a little bit scared because of the footnotes. So apparently J. Kristoff in this particular series has loads of footnotes, and it might sometimes take people out of the story, and I completely understand. I tried reading S by J.J. Abrams and co-written with someone. It was a journey. I don't think I got very far in, because it's a text of a book. It's a book, and then it has all these little notes and things surrounding it, so you're almost following two narratives. You can read the initial book that comes with it. It's a library book. I think it's a Ship of Theseus, and then you go from there. I don't know why I'm explaining this book to you. So then you would like pick up the two stories, so you jump into one story then jump to the other, so you can get really confused and you're not sure what you're following and you're really like all over the place. Anyway, Nevernight. Yes, I know how much people love it, and there was a reason I bought the special editions, the hardcovers, signed, sprayed edges. I really want to have it, and I really feel like it's going to be really, really a favorite of mine. As I read Mark Lawrence's series that we don't talk about anymore because he's cancelled apparently. I didn't even know this happened, so I don't want to condone anything that people do which is wrong, so I don't know. But yes, I think I would like to do a reading vlog for reading Nevernight series, so watch out for that. Hopefully this year, I don't know. On a little bit of a different note, I have never read A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I know, me too. It's a really, really beloved series, 13 books, by a guy who doesn't really exist. An author used a pseudonym from the book to use as the author of the book. It's really intriguing, really amazing. I watched the show that Netflix produced. I watched the film that came out in 2005, I think. So I'm very much familiar with the story now, but I'm really curious to see how it will go down in the book. But also, I am kind of holding off of reading this because it is a middle grade, and I have sort of decided not to read any middle grade until when I have children, and I would like to maybe read the books with them. So I'm saving that for that. I know it's like saving dessert for later and then maybe not having a chance to try the dessert, but I'm like very hopeful, and hopefully we'll read it in the future. On a similar note, one of my favorite movies of all time is Howls Moving Castle by Studio Ghibli. It's an incredible masterpiece, don't at me, but I know that it's based on the book by Diana Wynne Jones, and I think it's an entire series as well that I've never picked up. And I got really like shunned for it as well recently, and I'm like, no, don't worry. There is still time. Life is long and short at the same time. So I think at some point I would really like to see where the inspiration or what the story is really like, because I feel like the adaptation did such an incredible job, and there is a reason I like it, not just because it's that story or those characters, but because the way it was colored in, the way it was directed, the way it was portrayed, it was just so beautiful. That's why I bought the manga editions of the Howls Moving Castle. There's just basically screenshots of the film in little book format. So I would really like to give it a go, and I've seen Becca in the books reading it recently, I think a few months ago, and she really enjoyed it, so I'm hopeful. Another adaptation, another book I haven't read. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is like the classic of the classics. This is huge. And I haven't read it. I don't know. Everyone who reads this loves it. And I haven't seen the film yet, so I really want to read this before I watch it because there is no rush. That film exists and I will be able to pick it up and watch it at some point. So reading this first will probably be really, really good. I don't know if I'll read the entire series. I've heard there's multiple books in the series as well. I don't think I'll wait till I have children to read this one, but I'm all holding myself accountable if I don't read it anytime soon. But it is something that I would really, really like to pick up anyway. And last but definitely not least, you know how much I love this series on Netflix? It's the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski, starting with The Last Wish. I still haven't read this. I really, really like this series, the TV show adaptation of this. It's one of my favorites. I know people hate on it a lot. People don't understand. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I haven't played the games. My friend has been bugging me and nagging me about it for years to play it. But obviously you have to read the series first to play the games, so I'm kind of waiting for that. I own 2 copies of this, so this is like the adaptation one. This is my I'm gonna read it and pass it on to someone who actually wants to read as well. I own the other ones just somewhere behind me. Can't be bothered to get them out. But I'm missing 2 copies of the original publication, or the original covers, but I'll try and source them somehow. This is a really, really famous fantasy series adapted from Polish and all about our Geralt of Rivia. And, you know, toss a coin to your Witcher. I need to find out what happens. I bought the first, I think, 3 books in the series on the 1st of January this year. It's August. It's August. So I'm definitely going to be reading at least some of it. I'll need to kind of have a look where the season 2 is and when it's coming out, so I can read them before it comes out, and also rewatch the first one because I loved it so much. But yeah, yes, this one. These are my 10 books in series that I haven't read yet, but I would like to. And it's absolutely fine. Don't feel ashamed that you haven't read something. As I work in a bookshop, a lot of people come in and pick up something new for the first time, and it's usually something that's been out for a while. So it's never too late to pick something up if you want to read it. And this is a little video favor to myself to serve as a reminder that I would like to read these at some point, at some time. So let me know in the comments if there are any ones that you would like me to prioritize and talk about on my channel. But otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. I see you in my next one. Bye!